What is truly taking place in the background? In what way did Chrissy Lampkin and I become enmeshed in this web of deception, drama, and chaos? What's making Yandy so excited about it? We have the evidence that something is wrong. This is just crazy. We thought we had seen everything, but then fresh receipts that might shake up the whole love and hip-hop universe were released. Secret meetings, leaked texts, and speculations of a dubious link that shocks even the most devoted admirers are all on the table. Was everything premeditated, or was the last betrayal? You will never see Chrissy and me the same way after seeing this video, so please click like, because we will go into detail about this nasty, shocking incident, and you won't be able to stop yourself. Ens Harris Sir, who has evolved but is constantly surrounded by drama, and Chrissy Lampkin, who is everyone's favorite no-nonsense, who speaks like a queen from love and hip-hop. Would you believe me if I told you that these two had far more history than they are disclosing? Would you believe me if I told you that there is evidence linking Chrissy and Mendeecees in unexpected ways? First, it's not beautiful. How did Mendeecees and Chrissy even know one another? Let's be honest, they never really seemed to cross paths in that way on camera. The backstory, however, is different. Before he ever made contact with Yandy Smith, Mendeecees was in circles that were too similar to Chrissy's. We discussed mutual friends, late-night business dealings, and, let's be honest, providing and receiving favors. Amidst all of that financial turmoil, there were rumors that money was being moved in ways that weren't totally legal. Sources now assert that guess who was responsible for the transactions going away? Yes, it's M himself. It gets worse, though. Chrissy and Jim's relationship was marked by ups and downs. After she proposed to him on national television, he turned around and avoided marriage for over a decade. Could I tell you that Jim wasn't being himself? What else may be causing Jim's amusing behavior? An explanation that included a specific individual who has a track record of intruding where he shouldn't. You're all following me because I'm going to lose control of this scenario. According to rumors, Chrissy and M's connection is more than simply financial. Apparently, there were reports of late-night meetings, according to our sources. Between the two, there has been some really suspicious behavior. I would rather not generate rumors, but that's precisely what we're here to do, so wait. Guess who was spotted slinking into and out of Chrissy's old condo during a time when Jim Jones was out of town for a few weeks? This shocking information was just made public by an anonymous person with knowledge of the matter. Guys, DCs, you already know where this is going already. When it comes to my work, as you can guess, things always get a bit too personal, so let's speak about these purported commercial dealings. What's worse is that Yandy went crazy when she learned. Yandy will stand up for me since, as you know, she doesn't toy with her boyfriend. You're thinking, oh, maybe he was just handling business. Despite all, she couldn't deny the warning signs as this narrative started to spread. I was questioned by Yandy over his connection with Chrissy, and let's just say that things did not go well, according to reports. She started posing queries to which he could not reply and displaying what he thought were concealed receipts. The farther she investigated, the more she saw that something wasn't quite right. And this is where things become complex because, oh no, guys in Washington, D.C. don't deny anything directly. He assured Yandy that she was hallucinating and that it wasn't what she had assumed. People just enjoy talking. But he made a mistake here. Instead of telling her she was mistaken, he just went quiet when Yandy questioned him about those late-night visits concerning the time of some transactions. Let's avoid discussing it since, as we all know, guys who grow silent under pressure are usually experiencing some sort of problem. Forget about the long-running conflict between Yandy and Chrissy. Chrissy had clarified that she didn't appreciate Yandy, calling her rude and dirty and even accusing her of trying to influence Jim's career. Since it has come to light that Chrissy and Mendeecees could have been relocating shady behind her back, she was determined to hold them accountable. Rather, she arrived accompanied by all the receipts and smoke. What we're hearing is that Chrissy wasn't ready. Imagine that cameras are rolling and that the event is private with a special guest list. The room is so silent that you can hear a pin drop when Yandy walks in the door, faces Chrissy, and asks, "So, how long have you been messing with my husband and baby?" After being shaken, Chrissy tried to dismiss it with a joke, claiming that Yandy was acting dangerously. As part 1 came to a conclusion, Chrissy attempted to dismiss it, but Yandy delivered the true bombshell. "I have someone who saw you together, and they're ready to talk and y'all." Trust me, things just get more bizarre from here. We're going to go even farther into the craziness in part 2. Hold on tight, Chrissy. It was more than Yandy could bear. Screenshots of texts and transactions that were much too personal for commercial purposes were taken out. She seemed totally unprepared for the moment when the lady who was usually 10 steps ahead of Yandy and always prepared for a resurgence froze for the first time. She had timestamps, screenshots, and most importantly, a person who had witnessed everything. What does Chrissy do when she's backed into a corner? You all know how she gets. She doesn't fold easily. In Yandy's face, she chuckles as though the whole thing were a joke. She said, "You must be incredibly bored, girl, to fabricate tales like these," yet notice that Yandy isn't recoiling. The real commotion started when she pulled out her phone, touched the screen, and said, "Before you start laughing too much, you might want to hear what this person has to say." At that point, the room became dead. Chrissy's face changed for a moment, but Yandy just needed to notice it. Let's now talk about this mystery witness. Who is this person, and how did they get first-hand information about the purported business of Chrissy and M? This is the point at which things become difficult. The man in issue is none other than Dre, a former co-worker of M's who used to handle some of his accounts. Dre knew Mies well, having known him for years, knowing who he met, where he sent his money, and, most importantly, who he spent time with when he wasn't with Yandy. As you would have guessed. Let us examine the receipts for a moment. Chrissy was still attempting to look indifferent at this point, drinking her drink as though Yandy's words didn't matter. But what really shocked me was when Yandy hit play on the voice recording, because it was so clear that Dre was talking about how he personally drove messages to Chrissy's location multiple times, and Hellman D would tell him, "I keep this low-key. I don't need any extra eyes on me." Waves Dre explicitly informed me that Chrissy had an advantage over him, which is why he kept returning. The tension in the room was now so great that a knife could cut through it, and Chrissy's expression went from arrogant to cold. But Yandy, oh, she was enjoying this. She replied, "You want to keep laughing now, or should I keep going?" as she leaned in. She then swiftly stood up and gestured to Yandy's face when her beverages were filled. "Although she was ready to throw fists, you really believe that I had to explain myself to you via a funny recording that you made with Yandy? It's embarrassing." However, the truth is that Yandy had evidence, so she wasn't simply talking. A text exchange between Chrissy and Mies, relayed from an unidentified source, was seen by her. "You were certain that everything was well, even if the phrasing was suspect as heck and it wasn't really romantic. Doesn't anybody ask questions, Chrissy? Don't worry. I've got this. Just keep doing what has to be done. There is nothing to worry about as long as you keep your end tight." That seems like simple business to you, don't you think? Mrs. and Jim Jones had never been that hip, so why was I looking after Chrissy? Chrissy was now angry, unless there was more to it, and she shook her head like Yandy as she faced the audience. Was insane? Guess what? You people actually believe this garbage to be true. There weren't all the people in the room supporting her. As you might imagine, once it infiltrates, it spreads swiftly. Some were muttering, while others were hilariously looking at her. At that moment, Yandy delivered the last blow to her. "Currently, Chrissy, why do you look so uneasy if it's all lies?" After finishing, Chrissy snatched up her handbag, rolled her eyes, and hurried off. You're already aware of what came next. He remained silent, without addressing the matter, denying it, or attempting to clear his name. Why wasn't Mies speaking out now, unless he realized he couldn't at this point? If we know anything about Mies, it's that he loves to defend himself. After videos of the altercation surfaced online within hours, websites began to share them, and the internet went berserk. People were now seriously questioning whether it was true, and Twitter was in shambles. It's not a pointless fight, though, because if Yandy was right, M has been deceiving her for years. What precisely does Chrissy have over Mies? That is the most crucial question of all, and Chrissy has been behaving cunningly the entire time. That Mies informed him she had something on him and that my wife had something on him. Do you recall? There is still a lot more to this narrative, so it's time for part 3. If the preceding 2 sections seemed weird to you, you're not ready for this. Everyone was taken aback by the bit about friends. How was it possible for Chrissy to know Mizzy was still following her rules? Why has Jim said nothing about this? Believe me, it goes far deeper than that, and you're just touching the surface. Now what? Because this is where we expose Chrissy's obsession with messes and the reasons he might never be able to back out of whatever agreement they have. The internet is using this, as you already know, so let's get going. Then Chrissy hurried out of the room, as if she were being followed, after the fight with Yandy, and I said nothing. Social media is already familiar to you, so when you don't protect yourself, others start fabricating their tales, and the hypothesis gained momentum. People first assumed that maybe Yandy was ignorant of a previous connection between Chrissy and me, one that predated both Jim and Yandy. But that hypothesis was short-lived since fresh information started to emerge, and this was the part that everyone found shocking. A purported industry insider who says they have been in the company for years revealed some information that they added that Mies had apparently participated in some illicit activity in the past, which entirely changed the story. As everyone is aware, Mies has spent time for drug trafficking. However, it appears that there is more to that tale than we knew since, according to this source, Chrissy was not just an outsider, but also related to some of the same people Mies was managing. For a minute, let us consider this. In the event that such is the case, the entire scenario changes drastically. Chrissy has real legal authority over Mendeecees, which is why he can't cut off communication with her, because if he does, she could start talking, and Mendeecees can't afford that. It's not just about luring messages and secret meetings. Because this portion is wild, let's take a moment to look back. Prior to Mez's incarceration in the early 2000s, it appears that he and Chrissy undoubtedly believed he was forgetting all of that when he was initially put up. But not only did she remember, but she also kept receipts since, as you may remember, she had always been living in the background. As you may recall, she had previously been involved with some actual power players, and according to reports, she was somewhat too familiar with Mez's and other people's networks. But Mez's can't abandon her entirely because insider Chrissy has knowledge that may put him in big jeopardy. She seems to always remember that he owes her. This will be perplexing because when individuals began to piece together the facts, they discovered that Chrissy had previously used information as leverage. You see, Chrissy wasn't only a fan of Jim Jones in the past. She was friends with some of the renowned hip-hop artists, and let's just say that she was aware of things that individuals would want to remain anonymous. Because of this, she was able to maneuver in a way that prevented anyone from crossing her since she would start talking if they did. It looks like Mies is simply another person entangled in her web. But it gets even worse since Jim Jones hasn't made any statements or tweeted anything, and let's be honest, Jim isn't the kind to keep his tongue. What is causing him to act as if he is blind to what is happening? Given that Chrissy has dirt on me, who's to say she doesn't have dirt on GI2? Some individuals assert that he was already aware of Chrissy and M's arrangement, and that he could prefer not to smoke. With all of this happening, what is Yandy doing? When we last checked, she had gone, packed her things, dipped, and taken the kids. Are you able to hold her accountable? Chrissy's reputation has never been the cleanest, and this only serves to stoke the flames. The harm is already done. Considering all she's experienced with Mies, this was most likely the final straw. Yandy just escaped a bullet if the allegations are true because, let's be honest, if Chrissy has been harboring resentment towards me for years, who can guarantee that this drama won't eventually catch up with him? If Chrissy really has dirt on Mrs., what's keeping her from speaking up? That's the more important question. More importantly, what if she is already? What if the text thread that was released was just the start? What if M has no way out and Chrissy is going to reveal everything? Friends, this is not the end of the narrative. Have faith in me when the next tea is released. You haven't subscribed yet, so why don't you? This tale will only become crazier, so click that button, enable your alerts, and prepare yourself. In a few days, I'll see you. We'll be right here, drops to explain everything. Please tell me if you believe Chrissy is truly harboring resentment against me, or if this is simply another clumsy business bullshit. Post your opinions in the space provided below. Boiling, so I had to question what you guys believe is truly going on here, since I know the comment area will fly out. Is everyone else playing checkers and Chrissy is playing chess? Does Mendeecees really find himself in a predicament that he cannot get out of? More significantly, what is Yandy going to do next? I would not be surprised if someone soon revealed even more receipts, so please feel free to share them if this drama keeps going the way it is. Tell me your stance in the comments area below. Also remember that you need to be locked in right here if you want to be up to speed on the latest, messiest, and most combustible celebrity controversies. Trust me, we're not done yet, and the next update on this issue will be much more odd. So please press the like button, smash the subscribe button, and turn on your alerts. I'll see you in the next one will be messy.